Should the next Crash Bandicoot be a 3D open world like Twinsanity and the Radical Crash era, or stick to the classic formula? Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Crash Bandicoot video. So, like I've said over and over again, sounding like a broken record, no, Crash was not at the PlayStation event. I started tweeting, posting, and saying that I felt that Crash had pulled out of the event days beforehand. Something just didn't seem right. There were some things that weren't lining up as time went on, and I began to think that Crash wasn't going to be there. And lo and behold, Crash was a no-show. But I honestly do believe that Crash was supposed to be there originally, but PlayStation was taking too long with their event, so Activision decided to run at their own pace. This is evidenced by the fact that Jeff Grubb, a reporter and insider, said that a bunch of third-party titles were pulling out of the event, downsizing it significantly. Heck, we haven't even had a Call of Duty announcement yet. But today, I wanted to talk about something else. I talked about what Crash could look like in the next Crash game in my previous video, which is a hotly debated topic. But another hotly debated topic is how the game is actually gonna play. See, there's two modes of thought: the classic and the 3D open world. Now, technically, both are 3D, yes, but the classic Crash games are much more linear than the Crash games that came after Wrath of Cortex. Now, some people believe that the game should be more akin to Twinsanity, or even Crash the Titans, where it's an open world adventure and allows for more dynamic gameplay, while others are wanting a more linear game, like the original Naughty Dog titles. Now, when I discuss the way I think Crash is going to look, for me, it was fairly black and white to me and pretty clear as to what I think Crash is going to look like, or at least the generic art direction that the new Crash is going to take. But when it comes to gameplay style, this is where it becomes, well, a gray area. Open world fans argue that open world is a much more natural progression for 3D platformers. It doesn't restrict the developers and their creativity when it comes to mechanics. Level ideas and just the overall development of the game really flourish here, according to them. Now, some fans, let me clarify, some fans also think that Crash hasn't really had a fair shake behind a 3D open world game because of the mixed reactions from Twinsanity and all the way to Mind Over Mutant. Love them or hate them is an objective fact that these games did not resonate with as many people as the original trilogy did, both on a subjective level, objective level, and a commercial level. Classic linear fans believe that if the original trilogy is considered the best overall, then perhaps it should follow what the original did. And there is truth in this sense. If the original trilogy did do objectively better in terms of critic score, commercial, and sales, then obviously there is a magic that resonates with fans when it comes to that gameplay style. I mean, outside of the original 3 games, the next best game was, well, the Insane Trilogy, which was based off of the original 3 games. So, should the next games just follow the path of the original game and just leave it at that? This is what's argued. The answer, I believe, lies in sitting down and thinking, what is core to Crash Bandicoot? What was it about the first 3 games that made them legends and made people Crash crazy? What is the DNA of the Bandicoot? Breaking it down in my mind, tight platforming, non-complicated gameplay with wacky enemies and dialogue that's all wrapped up in an environment that's an inhuman hybrid between science and nature. Think of a canceled midnight episode of Animal Planet. Gone, bad. And also, the levels are very dense. It's not relaxing and open like Spyro, it's very closed off but full of action. So I think the answer lies in between both sides of being linear and open world. I don't think either mindset is 100% correct, to be honest. I feel that being too open might not be the best direction for Crash. While it opens a lot of opportunities to be able to do more in terms of platforming, it might start to feel like the identity of Crash is lost. Because, like I said, the levels are very dense and full of action. And when you have a 3D open world, it's kind of hard to make that denseness of action. While being too narrow and linear, however, holds a bit too much to the original trilogy and holds too much on what was actually a technical limitation. And I feel like this is where a huge problem lies. is that the fan base sees that technical limitation as a part of Crash's identity and DNA, instead of it being a confine that Naughty Dog had to work with for its time. As in, if Naughty Dog had the opportunity to be able to do more, they likely would have. So I think narrow platforming does need to stay, but for the game to broaden a little bit and open up, to find areas that allows Crash to explore a little bit and maybe find a secret or two, or multiple paths that the player can take that varies from being more broad and open to being more linear like the originals. New mechanics would also be great. Like, imagine being able to catch the side of a ledge you nearly missed, or to be able to tiptoe along the sides of a wall that is only inches thick. Now, if we have to still stick with the more linear style of gameplay, then let's have more ways to traverse the world. Maybe wall climbing, zip lining, heck, why not turbo speed? And maybe bring back some classic and revamped level concepts like Crash's jet board, or even getting chased by a giant, well, whatever, but make it different and unique. The big thing that we need to remember too, that every fan, and this includes myself by the way, needs to remember to not be so tied to the past that the gameplay needs to emulate that for the future. I really think and believe we need to be open-minded when it comes to the new Crash game, when it comes to stuff that's considered as brand new. People have a tendency to have a negative knee-jerk reaction when they see something changed or added to the new games that they have nostalgia over. But just like how Crash 1 evolved into Crash 2 and 3 with those changes, this game will have to evolve as well. This is the first Crash game in over 10 years, so we might have to be in for some drastic changes. The point is, Crash Bandicoot has a lot of room to grow for the next game. No, of course the series doesn't have to be completely different. We don't want a Banjo nuts and bolts situation, but developing the next title should definitely try some new concepts and new mechanics to make sure that the game feels up to date and refreshed for all those who are about whumping ready for a new game. A huge thank you to all those who support the channel through Patreon and being a sponsor on the channel. If you'd like to help it out, check out the links in the description below, where you can buy some CGE merch or become a Patreon. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming and nostalgic content. Thank you so much everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.